Baruch Ata Asherah Anat Malacha Ha'olam Asher Kedeshani Mitzvotah B'tzivanu L'Hitatif L'Tzitzit. Hello, hello. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. The film project that I'm working on, I have these series of, it's the same cut of shirt, but a different color. It's kind of fun. I get to play around with outfits in a way that I never thought I would have a chance to. That's one advantage of this project, even if it slows me down in other ways. But here we are. Don't have to think about that this moment. Can just think about this little space we make together. That's nice. I was running into more OBS problems this morning, like right before I clicked stream. I was trying to, I have like weird crashes going on with restream and sometimes I wonder why I bother. I get my head all full with these like strange tech details that are like basically useless except for their highly specific context. And yeah, but I guess that's that's the modern world, right? Like your mind gets full of information that is like very large and only fractionally useful to your life. I don't actually want to be thinking about OBS plugins. I determined that the issue was, what was the issue with the plugin? The libsef.dll. So now I have to reinstall OBS and blah 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 blah. But so it goes. But here we are. I'd like to access 100% of my brain. Sounds good. So, here we are, in this moment. I am trying to shift gears. It's unusual of me that I just like click stream, like without. So you're seeing me process live, but so it goes. Let's do a little vocal warm-up, shall we? Yeah, welcome, Jade. Glad you're here. Shema Yisrael Asher Eloheinu Yahweh Echad. Thank you for answering that question, Salty. Baruch Hashem, hi! Hi, my friend. How are you? So nice to see you here. ואהבת את ענת אלוהיך ובכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודייך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך וחיה כי ויחיה אלוהיך אל הארץ אשר נשבע לבתיך לאברהם ליצחק וליעקב לתת לך ערים גדולות וטובות אשר לא בנית ובתים מלאים כל טובה אשר למילאת וברות הצבים אשר לא עשת והכרמים מזיתים אשר לא נתת והלכת ושבת הישמר לך פן תשכח את יהוה אשר הודיעך מארץ מצרים מבית עבדים. Here we are in this space saying old words together, and what these words mean varies with time and place and person. I wish I could tell you what these words meant. I mean, I can a little bit, right? Like I can translate them for you in English. Sometimes I do that. But to me their meaning isn't actually in the grammar, so to speak. Right, there's a term for Hebrew that is sometimes used, Lashon HaKodesh, Kodesh, Kaddish, holy, right? That's in my name. Holy language, right? And there's this concept that the language itself, the syllables are holy. And of course, I don't know what that means either. Like, what does the word holy mean, right? And somehow it's in my name, it's in what I call myself, what other people call me, but like, it's a difficult to define term. It's not really a term with any definition, or you define it. Holy is the things that are not holy, right? Holy is the opposite of profane. Meaning is elusive. But nonetheless, we say these words because of the way they make us feel. I say these words because of the way they make me feel. I say them because they ask me to say them, right? The meaning of the words, the grammatical, translated meaning of the words says, copy me. You shall bind this as a symbol on your hand and let it serve as a sign on your forehead, right? The prayer is an Ouroboros of itself. It says, copy me, so I copy it. But I don't know. People always come and ask, what are we doing? What does this mean? And I'm always a little bit at a loss. I could talk for hours about this or that, right? And some of you will have heard me say the same things over and over again, and yet I get the same question over and over again. I seek a new answer every time, and there is no answer, right? But we're here together. That's really the answer, is that we are here together. But I don't want to pray to my maker, no. I just want to be feeling free. Not just who I am, but the pink in golden land and that wide, wild sky over me. Help me to the sun, hey, I'm looking everywhere. See, I'm looking to become not the prayer, but the prayer. And I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, we don't want to pray, pray. And it's not much good to talk, better to walk it. Ooh, not much good to take, better to give. We are done, forgiven, and forgotten of our sins. And I promise you, my friends, all that dies will live again. So, pardon, God and Mom, what I'm saying isn't fair. See, I'm looking to become not the prayer, but the prayer. And I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, no, no, no. I don't want to pray. We don't want to pray. Pray. Love Allah, Allah made love, and Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. Asher, Asher, made good, and Anat made bad. Elohim made love, and Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. Love Allah. God made, God made, God made. But I don't want to pray to my Maker. I just want to be what I see. Not like in a book or the leaves of trees that shook, but a word that means only, not a thing. No, no. Pardon, God and Mom, what I'm saying isn't fair. See, I'm looking to become not the prayer, but the prayer. And I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, no, no, no. I don't want to pray. We don't want to pray. Pray. I love Allah, Allah made love, and Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. Asher, Asher, made good, and Anat made bad. Elohim made love, and Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. I love Allah. God made, God made, God made me. Thank you all. Dudette, you were a moderator on your old account. I will begin the process of making you a moderator again, right? So I have to follow you and I have to be friends with you for 24 hours, and then I can make you a moderator, and it's a whole process of giving you privileges. And it kind of doesn't matter, right? Like, the longer that I do this and the longer that I see the dynamics of this stream and what it's about, giving some of you the authority to mute others isn't really the deal. Like, you can function as a moderator, basically, right? You can function as a community member, whether or not you have the official software role, right? Whether or not you have the power to kick other people out of the space, right? Like, it's actually about what you say. And so I am so grateful for all of those times that someone comes in and asks a question, particularly the question of the form, what is this? What are we doing here? What does this mean? And you answer it, right? You provide context. Because there's this dynamic that exists on TikTok. You have to think about, like, what an average user's experience is, right? Like, they're scrolling on their phone, they have no idea what they're watching, because TikTok just serves you stuff. And then they see this woman saying words that they don't know, and they ask a question, right? Or they clock a trans woman because they want to do that, and they say something insulting, right? You all have the power to create the mood of this space and make it what it is, and to engage people, right? Like, I love seeing actual conversation happening in the chat, and I love it when that conversation is more than, don't call her that, or stop being mean, right? Like, if we can have a discourse, if we can have a conversation that is related to the prayers, that's about the prayers, but, maybe even independent, right? Like, you have your own little world that I can't actually participate in because I can't type, right? So I rely on you all to make the space the social space that it is, and you can do that whether or not you're a moderator. You can also block them. Like, that's fine. Like, I trust your judgment. Like, it's not like you shouldn't mute people or you shouldn't block people, but it's just that, like, the more important action is the constructive action. It's about talking, right? Like, communicating with one another. Like, those of you who know one another, right? Like, you all have a chance to say hello, ask each other about y'all's days, right? Like, I don't know how to build community on the internet. I've been trying for years, and I've had many successes and even more failures, and I need to rely on you all, like, quite heavily, actually, if this is to work. So thank you for all that you do. So we're gonna continue reading the Baal Cycle. So it's called the Baal Cycle, right? Because the story fundamentally is about the death and rebirth of Baal, right? And Baal is no more. He stopped being worshipped around the time that Christ started being worshipped, right? And there's that isn't a coincidence, right? Like, Christ took over much of Baal's symbolism, just as Yahweh took over much of Baal's symbolism. So the reason why I read this story, right, is to provide some of you all some context into the deeper history of the tradition that you probably learned when you were growing up, right? Whether you're Jewish or Christian or Muslim, right? Like, this story is at the root of all of those newer stories. And so I find it very valuable to know and understand, and to see the way that our ancestors 4,000 years ago would have seen the world, would have told their stories about the world. So we're going to read a bit from the Baal Cycle, where we were at yesterday. We were reading about how Prince C, Judge River, the son of Asherah, right, the water serpent of that goddess that will consume you, comes to the palace of El, and he says, I will assume your inheritance. I will assume the inheritance of Baal, right? So Baal is in conflict with these other gods, particularly the sea serpent. And so we will continue on and learn about their conflict. So what happened, they got into a fight, and Baal actually drunk the sea. Baal drunk the sea, right? Hail Baal the Conqueror, hail Rider on the clouds, for Prince Sea is our captive, Judge River is our captive. And we go on. He served Baal the Conqueror. He honored the prince, the lord of the earth. He arose, prepared food, and gave it to him to eat. He carved a breast before him, with a sharp knife, the loin of a fatling. He got up, made ready the feast, gave him drinks. He put a cup in his hand, a goblet in both of his hands, a large beaker manifestly great, a jar to astound a mortal, a holy cup which women should not see, a goblet which Asherah must not set her eye upon. He took 1,000 jugs of wine. He mixed 10,000 in a mixing bowl. He arose, he sang a song. There were cymbals in the minstrel's hands. The hero sang with a sweet voice, of Baal on the peaks of Zaphon. Baal looked at his daughters. He set his eye on Pidre made of light, on Tale made of rain. Right, so what is the context here? Right, so Baal has won a battle against the sea god, and so he is rejoicing, right? And his battle against the sea god is also sort of, you can metaphoricalize it as a win for patriarchy, right? So Baal pulls out the cup that the women shouldn't see, that Asherah shouldn't see, and of course the river god is associated with Asherah, right? So this is a party for Baal's ascendance to the throne of kingship. And then the story turns to Anat, who is Baal's sister and lover, right? As the family trees of these ancient gods go, they were highly inbred and incestuous. And we're going to see a little bit of the character of Anat here. All right. I mentioned Anat in that Edward Sharpe prayer, right? Anat made hate. Here's why. The gates of Anat's house were shut, and the lads met the lady of the mountain. And then Anat went to battle in the valley. She fought between two cities. She killed the people of the coast. She annihilated the men of the east. Heads rolled under her like balls. Hands flew over her like locusts, the warriors' hands like swarms of grasshoppers. She fastened the heads to her back. She tied the hands to her belt. She plunged knee-deep into the soldiers' blood, up to her thighs in the warriors' gore. With a staff she drove off her enemies, with a string of her bow her opponents. And then Anat arrived at her house. The goddess reached her palace. There, not satisfied with her battling in the valley, her fighting between the two cities, she made chairs into warriors. She made tables into an army. and the stools into heroes, and she battled violently, and looked. Anat fought, and saw. Her soul swelled with laughter, her heart was filled with joy. Anat's soul was exuberant, as she plunged knee-deep into the soldier's blood, up to her thighs in the warrior's gore, until she was satisfied with her battling in the house, her fighting between the tables. The soldier's blood was wiped from the house. Oil of peace was poured from a bowl. The Virgin Anat washed her hands, the mistress of the peoples her fingers. She washed the soldier's blood from her hands, the warrior's gore from her fingers. She made the chairs again, the tables, tables. She made stools, stools. She drew water and washed. The heavens dew, the earth's oil, the rain of the rider on the clouds, dew from which heavens pour. Rain was poured from the stars. Yeah, it's really intense, Sarah, isn't it? So Anat is a death goddess, right? Like, I don't know if y'all are familiar with the symbolism and imagery surrounding Kali, right? So Kali is one version of Shiva's wife. This is in the Hindu tradition, right? So it's the same goddess, right? In all places in the world, we see these same archetypes, right? Because they have the same origins in ancient cultures. Right, so Anat is this violent goddess, and so violent that after she was battling in the valley, she came home and she's like, nah, I want more. And so she transforms her furniture into more people so that she can kill them, only to transform them back into furniture. It's quite an image. Like, I find Anat's character inscrutable. Right, she's not like any of the gods that are actively worshipped today. But there was a reason why ancient people had her as a character. I saw a headline recently. There was a farmer in Gaza, in the Gaza Strip in Palestine, who was plowing his fields, and he unearthed a 4,000-year-old head of a goddess that the archaeologists identified with Anat. It's worth looking up. Maybe I'll post a picture of it in the server, because I'd never actually seen a statue of Anat before. It's quite beautiful. Yeah, so ancient goddess. She's a character. She's often depicted as a vulture, right, because she's associated with death. But she's also very beautiful. And later on in the story, we'll see that she plays a highly sexualized role. Yeah, you know a few Marines like that. Yeah, I mean, we still live in a world full of violence. And so these death gods, they still resonate. Okay. So, now we're going to move on. We're going to say Arati. Arati means flame in Sanskrit. And here's our little flame. Jaya Jaya Arati Vina Vinayaka Vina Vinayaka Shri Ganesha Jaya Jaya Arati Subramanya Subramanya Kartikeya Jaya Jaya Arati Venugopala Venugopala Venuola Papa Vidura Navanita Chora Jaya Jaya Arati Venkanta Ramana Venkanta Ramana Sankata Harana Sita Rama Radhe Shama Jaya Jaya Arati Gauri Manohara Gauri Manohara Bhavani Sankara Samba Sada Shiva Uma Maheshwara Jaya Jaya Arati Raja Rajeshwari Raja Rajeshwari Tripura Sundari Mahalakshmi and Mahasaraswati Mahakali and Mahashakti Jaya Jaya Arati Anjaneya Anjaneya Hanumanta Jaya Jaya Arati Datta Jaya Datta Jaya Trimutri Vatara Jaya Jaya Arati Adityaya Adityaya Bhaskaraya Jaya Jaya Arati Sanistaraya Sanistaraya Bhaskaraya Jaya Jaya Arati Sankaracaya Sankaracaya Advaita Guravi Jaya Jaya Arati Sadgurunata Sadgurunata Shivananda Jaya Jaya Arati Vishnu Devananda Vishnu Devananda Vishnu Devananda Jaya Jaya Arati Agastya Munaye Agastya Munaye Shriyama Priyaye Jaya Jaya Arati Ayappa Swamine Hayapa Swamine Dharma Shastave, Jaya Jayartiya Jesus Guravi, Moses Guravi, Buddha Guravi, Jaya Jayarti Muhammad Guravi, Guru Nanak Guravi, Samastya Gurubho Namaha, Jaya Jayarti Avenugo Pala. Natatra Suyobati Natandrakaratam Nima Vidyobati Kutaya Magni Twameva Bantamanabanti Sarvam Tasya Basya Sarmidam Vivanti Om Gange Kayamane Kaiva Govari Saraswati Narmade Siddhika Veriya Namastitam Namo Namaha. This is a dedication song from the Shivananda yoga tradition that I learned when I was very young. Twameva mata, chapita twameva, twameva bandusha saka twameva, twameva vidya javinam twameva, twameva sarvam mama deva deva, kayena vacha manasendriyarva, buddhyatmanava prakrite sabhavad, karomi adyad mangalam parasmahi, narayana iti sarmar payami. Sarva dharmam pravichayam amikam saranamrija, aham sva sarva papayo mokshayami masicha. Whatever actions I perform with my body, speech, mind, senses, my nature, intellect, or my emotions, all these, I dedicate to you, to all of you. Thank you so much. Good morning. So, we will conclude with Kaddish, a prayer of mourning for all of those people in pain. I don't know if you just heard that. I don't know how good my microphone is. One of my housemates literally just screamed in pain. In anger. I don't know what happened. He might have hit himself with a hammer. I'll find out soon enough. I hope everyone is okay too. You heard that? Yeah. So you have as much information as I do. I'm here. I think it has something to do with goats, because now I can hear Rin calling the goats. Anyway, I'm going to assume it's not that big of a deal. But clearly someone was in pain. And that is why I say this prayer, right? Because pain is ubiquitous. Suffering is ubiquitous. As living creatures, we suffer. Right? I am constantly aware of all of the pain of all of the members of the people in my household, right? All of us have our own challenges and ways that we suffer, right? And we give those to each other. So we're all bound up together in this crazy communal lump, right? And we all found ourselves here, in part, because we have, struggles that make us think that living communally will be a good idea, and then we just share those struggles with other people. It is what it is. Anyway, we can say Kaddish, even if it might be a little futile, to remember that we do not suffer alone, right? That for thousands of years people have been suffering and dying, and they've said these words in response. This is a Hebrew prayer, Terry. The word Kaddish means holy in Hebrew. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabba. B'yama divrach yete v'yamlich mal chute. B'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayede kol beit Yisrael. Bagala v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehi shemei rabba miv'arech li'alam olmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudisha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechimata d'yamivan b'yama v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlamah rabba amin shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yochol Yisrael v'imru amin. Oseh shalom v'imramav. Huya aseh shalom. Aleinu v'yochol Yisrael v'imru amin. Oh, say shalom mimramav. Oh, yaseh shalom aleinu. V'yalech al Yisrael. V'yimro. V'yimro. Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you for answering that question, Cat Dog. I appreciate that very much. More than I can say. Helps the show work. So, what shall we do now? Let's have some breakfast. Let's have some breakfast. Singing along with me. You're familiar with the Kaddish, Cat Dog? Where did you learn it? I'll be back in 30 seconds with my meal. Before becoming bat mitzvah yourself, right? So we learned them around the same time. You went to Hebrew school for years. So did I. I went to Hebrew school for years, and I was I was resentful, even when I was young, right? I was 12 years old, learning these prayers, memorizing them, and I was really resentful because nobody taught me any context, right? Like, we literally just memorized these prayers by rote, and sure, you could read the Siddur, and you could read the translation in English if you wanted to know what they meant. But there was just so much context that was missing. So much context. And history, and, the theological answers, theological explanations that my teachers gave me were highly simplified, and, they didn't really understand what they were teaching. I mean, that's dismissive maybe, right? But, there was quite a lot of Judaism that I had to reject before I could return to it. No one taught me what the V'ahavta meant. I'm glad it's worth it, Terry. I hope you don't have to get up early in the morning. Right, it was only years later, when I visited Israel for the first time, and I was at the Western Wall, and this Hasidic man handed me a little piece of paper that had the V'ahavta on it, and I had forgotten the prayer, right? And I read it, and I was like, wait, I know these words. And then I actually read the translation. I was like, oh, the words literally just say copy me. Of course that's why they made me memorize the words, because the words say copy me. Right? There is meaning buried underneath there, but, particularly in America, they don't really teach it. Did you go to a conservative synagogue? Reform synagogue? You went to a Reform synagogue. There's a bit of cashews in it, and oil and soy sauce. Yeah, it's funny. That part of the Western Wall, I will never be able to go to again, right? Because it's gender segregated. So at the time, I was presenting male, and that Hasidic man certainly thought that I was male, and sent me to that part of the wall. It's strange, right? I've been to all these gender segregated spaces that few people like me have. Do I still have this? Yeah. Hasidic men have given me the most bizarre things, and it's all the more eerie now that I'm so intensely feminized, right? Because they weren't seeing me like that. So when I was in Rachel's tomb is a terrifying place. Rachel's tomb is in Bethlehem, but it's on the Israeli side of the wall. And they actually built like this little keyhole thing because they wanted to capture Rachel's tomb. So they went deep into the city and built a wall around the holy spot. And so now on the Bethlehem side, you have to like drive in crazy loops in order to get there. But I went on the Israeli side, and I went into the tomb, and there this Hasidic man gave me this pamphlet, Holy Nation, a guide to Shimras Habris. It's a guide to not masturbating. It's this little pamphlet about like how to how to prevent yourself from pleasuring yourself sexually, so that you can make more Hasidic babies, right? So I can quote to you, right? And I'll remind you that I was in a 3,000-year-old shrine, surrounded by a 15-foot concrete wall in order to keep the Palestinians out of a shrine, which was a holy spot for them too, right? Like it's not just a Jewish shrine; it's also a Muslim shrine and a Christian shrine. Because Rachel is the matriarch for all three traditions. Nonetheless, the IDF, they built this fortress around the shrine, and this Hasidic man gave me this pamphlet about not masturbating, and I will read to you now. I quote: "Make fences." Chazal have taught us that one must make fences to guard the Torah. By making boundaries, one is guaranteed to stay far away from temptation. Where there are fences around sexual immorality, there is sanctity. It's astonishing. So I held on to this, right? Because that Hasidic man thought I was a boy with a masturbation problem, which maybe I was. I certainly had some sexual insecurities I had to work out, but I don't think the solution was to stop masturbating. It's hilarious. Like, the world is very diverse. And so there are many, many different kinds of people. And some people can't stand other people, and they build walls. Where have I been? I've been right here, but mentally I've been elsewhere. You're in Antigua. I don't know if there's ever been someone on the stream from Antigua before, or in Antigua. You're not from Antigua. You're on holiday. I'm here mentally with you now. Yes, I do feel really lucky to have this space, and it's funny because the space requires a lot of mental effort to maintain. Right, like I have to stretch a certain kind of empathy muscle, empathy neurological pattern. You have to pay attention to all of you simultaneously. It can be challenging. Can I show some of the space? Sure, Sarah. I can't show you that much because I can't get up right now because I'm eating. But I can maybe switch my camera around. Let me see. More. Where's the thing? Interact. They keep on changing this. There we go. Flip camera. Okay. So here's my studio. There's my OBS setup that I was complaining about earlier this morning. But we can pull this away. So here's my studio. I have altar and shelves there. That's my little kitchenette. I have a green screen up because I'm currently filming this documentary project, and we can continue around. And here's a windowsill, and there's Ashra, and and here's me again, and all right, so that's a full 360 tour. I do put my mental health first, don't you worry. Right, like it's funny, right? Like I started doing these lives because I thought it was algorithmically appropriate. Right, like I no longer think that doing these actually grows my TikTok account at all. It doesn't, right? I get like 1 or 2 followers, and not many views at all, but I do it because it feels good to me, right? Like, this is a practice that I started long before I had a TikTok account, long before TikTok existed. I was doing this stream to no audience whatsoever. So, and I did it for myself, and now that y'all are here, there's an extra socio-emotional component to it. I have to figure out how to navigate this ritual with all of you here with me, and sometimes it can be draining, but fundamentally, ultimately, I do this because it's good for me, right? And I care about it and care about you all. So. I'm glad it's good for you. Any plans for today? Yes, I'm filming. So, I don't know if you've noticed, Terry, you've been here a few times. I basically have been wearing the same outfit for weeks, but the shirt color changes, and that's because I'm doing this filming project where I get to change my shirt, but the outfit is still the same. It's kind of fun. So I'm filming a corn episode today, hence the yellow and white, and the yellow eyeliner. I've never had a chance to like professionally do this level of outfit coordination before, so it's a fun little thing, a little silver lining to a project that otherwise has been very hard for me. I do sleep in this space, yes. Yeah, so over the next month or so, if you see me dressed in this particular top with the, I don't know what you call this cut, but that means I'm filming. No, I'm a large. Thank you, Becky, with the good hair. I'm sure your hair is excellent. Okay. So, with that, my lovely friends, I need to leave you until tomorrow. Actually, I will not be streaming tomorrow. I will leave you until Sunday. And then I will be back, and we can hang out and spend some part of the morning together. It was really lovely hanging out with you all. And I'll see you soon. Okay. Farewell.